in the project.
And there were always lots of kids in my house and everything, so what was not to love?
The sense of community was incredible.
My rent was $7 a week.
We used to hang out in the hallway there to keep warm in the wintertime. And they always chased us out,
Yeah. We had one security guard.
This is where I got locked up, right here.
You could not put your foot on the grass.
The baby park.
There was the monkey bars or the chin bars.
Yeah, that's right.
And that cop locked me up over here.
We had chin bars, monkey bars.
The first time I got locked up.
I had swings, chin bars, sandbox, everything right outside my door.
You would have got killed if your mother had to go to the rent office and pay an extra $5. You would have got murdered.
Never in my past history have I ever been so closely associated with blacks, Hispanics.
The windowsill is slate.
My girlfriend.
Is it still slate? He thought she was his girlfriend.
Everybody lived in the projects. Everybody got along.
Black, white. It was great. It was great.
I'd sit in the kitchen window, and she'd sit in the living room window, and we could talk. You know, window to window.
And if every kid grew up in a project, I don't think there would be any prejudice. I really mean that.
And I wrote her phone number down on the slate.
RA92335.
And they turned out to be good friends.
The doors were never locked.
And that shattered any racism.
We had what rich people had, but we didn't realize that.
If it weren't for Queensbridge, I would never have got my first Broadway show. That's directly related to Queensbridge because that's where I took my tap lessons, and I never took another tap lesson after that. And but I always remembered how to do my little routines that I learned in those little dance recitals at Queensbridge.
When I was 8, couldn't really play, couldn't put the ball through my legs, you know.
My aunts all met their husbands here at this community center. My father boxed here. My father's a Fresh Air Fund, a child from Queensbridge, which is still a program that's part of Queensbridge still today.
We used to box, played basketball, we played football.
We didn't know we were the poor children.
I grew up with my mother and father out here and stuff like that, you know, and there was a lot of things, you know, you've seen everything out here. You know, you've seen negative things, you've seen positive things, and, you know, you try to make the best, you know, of what you have in front of you, or what you have in your hand.
And just because we live in a housing project, sometimes they try to categorize people as project people. You know, oh, they're from the project. That's the way they all act. Because it's not true. If you don't hear that Melody Glover grew hip up here, she's an attorney. You don't hear that Andy Walker was a councilman in Niagara. You don't hear that Bernadette Walker is the dean of students at LIU. All you hear is there was a shooting last night.
Cops have announced dozens of arrests tonight.
Known as the Dream Team, was the dominant source of crack supply and distribution on the Hill.
The Queensbridge houses, the Hill is the core of the complex, complete with stores, a nursery school, and a community youth center.
The guys who stand up there and they sell drugs, it goes to the respect thing.
Check out drugs. To sell drugs, you're introducing yourself to misery.
There's only two things that can happen to you in the drug game. Either you're going to go to jail for a long time, or you're going to die.
And unfortunately, that will metastasize into your friends and your loved ones.
You know, everything is subject to change. I think that the time is coming, it's evolving where, you know, the right thing is coming back into play now.
The point is, don't think that I am not capable of excelling.
As a young black man who comes from Queensbridge, to be able to say, I grew up in Queensbridge and finished at Harvard, it's something very powerful for these kids who can't really see that far.
There's nothing wrong with still being in Queensbridge. You know, I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I live in a complex that's a condo that costs way too much money. You can look over you, there's Central Park. Isn't that nice? Way too much money. However, right down the street is a housing project. Same view. Why should I leave the project? Because it's called the project. I live on the same Upper West Side if I'm in that housing project. I look at the same Central Park, and you have a very decent apartment. And by the way, it's a safe housing development. Just because it's called a project doesn't mean, or a housing development doesn't mean it's not a good place to live. Affordable housing is necessary for people who need affordable housing. And sometimes it's called a housing development. That's fine. But it could be right across the street from an expensive condo. So what? There's nothing wrong with being in a housing development. It's affordable housing, and it should be there, and it's necessary, and no one should be ashamed of living in it as long as you're living a good life and being a good person.
Public housing is valuable for people. As you said to me, it's that bridge that lets you do other things in your life because you don't have that anxiety about an apartment. People are getting up to take that subway, take that bus, walk to Queens Plaza. You know, do as my grandmother did. Work may be a very hard job, but you're not getting the respect and the appreciation. And then come home to a nice apartment where you look over a beautiful park and the skyline and the river, and it's a good feeling. That is what New York is all about. And Queensbridge is part of that energy of New York City, that beat, that bustle, that hustle, you know, and you know, it's a great place.